If you've ever felt like you're not doing enough to be frugal, this video is for you. Today we're going to talk about 15 different frugal things that I am not doing right now in this season of life. Frugal living is meant to be a tool, not a burden. So sometimes you have to choose sanity, time, and even rest over saving some dollars. All the frugal habits I'm going to talk about today are all great things to do, and if you're doing them, that is fantastic. They're all things that I may do at some point, or maybe I used to do, but for whatever reason, and I'll talk through them all, I'm not doing them right now. I've done a video in the past where I talked about being too frugal and ways that you can take frugality a little too far, and that's kind of a different topic, and I'll link to that up here if you want to see that. But what we're talking about today are all good frugal habits. They're just things that, for me personally, I'm not doing right now. So let's jump right in and talk about the first one. The first thing that I don't do that is frugal is to shop at thrift stores regularly. I used to love going to the thrift store as a teen, and I still love the idea of thrift stores. Just at this current stage in my life, thrift stores take a lot of time that I don't have. I do like to buy clothes used, and I will do that a lot of times at consignment stores because they tend to be better organized, and so I'm able to more quickly go to the section that I need for each kid and look through stuff. So I do still do consignment stores, but thrift store shopping for clothes for now is just something that I don't have the time for. I don't currently use a clothesline. I've mentioned in some of my frugal videos in the past that a clothesline can be a great way to save money. You're not using your dryer. You just are hanging all your clothes out there. You're saving electricity, and it's kind of nice, right, to have your clothes dried in the sun. So I think it's a great idea, but it's not something I'm doing right now. Pablo has mentioned that he'd be happy to make a clothesline for me, but I do not want to be hanging all my clothes outside. It just takes a lot of time. Again, to me, it's a time investment, and it's not something I'm interested in doing right now, even though it is a good frugal thing to do. I don't make all of our food homemade. Yeah, there are a lot of things I do homemade, and you guys have seen some of the recipes I've shared and things like that, but there are definitely things that I am okay with buying from the store. Like, I love grabbing Walmart's French bread. It's $1. I make my own sometimes, but other times it's nice to have that bread in the freezer that I can just pull out. I didn't make it, but it's really convenient. Same with like bag of chicken nuggets. I have a bag in my freezer right now. No, it's not as good, not as cheap as making your own, and I realize that, but sometimes it's just really nice to have some of those convenience things. So yes, right now I'm not making everything homemade. Another frugal thing that I'm not doing right now, and actually that I've never done, is to cloth diaper. I totally respect those of you who have decided to cloth diaper your kids, whether it's to save money or because it's better for the environment or it's better for your baby's skin. I've just never been able to bring myself to do it. I love just the convenience of the disposable diapers, and it's always just not seemed worth it to me to do the cloth diapering. If you love it, if you're a big fan of it, let me know in the comments. Maybe if enough people argue for it, you can convince me, but probably not. I do not usually use paper coupons. My mom used to get the Sunday paper, like multiple copies of it, and go through and get all the paper coupons and sort them out and then look at the sales at the stores. And when you can combine a sale with coupons, you can really get a good deal. And I love doing that, but right now I just don't really feel like I want to spend the time buying the papers and looking for the coupons and everything, doing the more extreme couponing, even though I think it can be a really great thing to do. So for me, for coupons, I'm just doing like the digital coupons with Kroger, or if I go to another grocery store that has them, I'm looking on the app, looking at the coupons they have on there, and I find that to just be easier for me. I don't make my own laundry soap. I've heard that it can be a really great way to save money. You can make a lot for not all that much. It's just not something that I have done. And if you have had really good success with it and you're like, oh, it saves a ton of money and it's super easy, let me know, because I am curious about it, but it is not something I'm currently doing. Okay, get ready for a double negative here, but we do not never go out to eat. So one of the most frugal habits that you can have is just the habit of eating at home and not going out to eat, which I'm totally a big proponent of. You're gonna save so much money by eating at home, but we don't never go out to eat because we enjoy eating out. We want to make it a priority to occasionally be able to take our kids out to get Chick-fil-A or whatever, for Pablo and I to go out on dates. So while we try not to do it too often, we're always trying to cut back and make sure we're mostly eating at home because yes, it really saves us money. We are okay with budgeting for that and spending some money on eating out because we really enjoy it. I do not only make coffee at home. This is another one of those things that you will hear a lot when people are talking about being frugal. If you go out and buy Starbucks or whatever other coffee every day, you are going to spend a ton by the end of the year. It can definitely really drain your accounts. It's not the best use of your money. So I totally realize that. Most of the time I am just making coffee at home. After all, we just have one car, so I'm not usually going out anywhere to buy it. But I do have a monthly $20 spending budget. We call it our fun money. And so I can do whatever with that $20. And yes, a lot of times I will spend it at Starbucks. I like to go to Starbucks to work on my blog, my website, even on YouTube stuff. And so for me, having that quiet coffee shop environment is totally worth the $5 or $6 for the fancy coffee. We do not do everything DIY in our home. I think it is really great when you can. And if you are really good at DIY stuff, then it's a great idea to do as much as you can DIY because you are gonna save money. But if there's something that Pablo doesn't know how to fix, you can be sure that I don't know how to fix it. And for the amount of time that it might take him to figure out something, especially if it's the first time he's doing it, it a lot of times is really worth the money to pay someone to do it. This totally depends. So we had a leaking dishwasher last year, and Pablo was able to look at YouTube, and it didn't take him all that long to figure out he needed to order a really cheap part from Amazon, and he was able to fix it. I was very proud of myself for helping him a little bit. And so I just felt like we were amazing for fixing the dishwasher. But other things, like we had a tree branch that was like partly broken on our tree last week from a storm, and it was high enough and at an angle where if it wasn't cut right, it could fall on the house. And Pablo just didn't feel comfortable doing it. And of course, I didn't feel comfortable doing it. And so for that sort of thing, it was worth it to us to pay someone to come and do it. I don't currently have a garden. I think a garden is a great frugal thing to have. A garden can be a really great idea, a really great way to save money, especially if you know what you're doing and you are able to get everything to grow and you're able to get a really good harvest. We don't have a ton of practice with a garden, and our soil here where we live in Texas is just not that great for growing that many things, especially if you're kind of new to it. And then the summers are so hot, if you don't plant early enough, everything's gonna kind of like burn up come June, basically. When we've had a garden in the past, it's been kind of more just for the experience of it. It's been really fun. The kids enjoy watering things, but we haven't gotten that much out of it. And it has not actually saved us money. We've definitely spent more on all the prep than we saved from what our garden produced. Kind of going along with what I said about not doing paper couponing right now, I also don't usually shop at multiple stores every week, like to hit all the sales. When I do 2 stores, it'll be like one store for the sales like Kroger and then Walmart for the non-sale items. But I'm not bouncing around to all the grocery stores to get all the sales, just because in this season of life and with the 1 car and with 5 kids, it takes too much time for me. It's really not worth the time for the savings that I would get. Okay, you guys might laugh at this one, but although I try to be frugal, one thing that I do not do is eat questionable food. Some of you might be like, okay, why are you saying that that's a frugal habit? But for me, I hate throwing away food. I feel terrible doing it, and it's kind of a struggle for me, but Pablo has helped me to realize that if there is something that I am not sure about, it is better to throw it away than to feed it to all the family and for us all to get food poisoning. The saddest example of this for me is I bought a big brisket. You guys actually saw it in the video last year. I was so excited. It was like this huge hunk of meat, and I was gonna cook it all night in the oven, and somehow my oven turned off before it had even gotten the meat very hot. Like, it did not cook it at all, and it sat there all night, but it had been somewhat warm, so then it was just in that, like, it warmed it just slightly, and then it sat in the closed oven all night long. And so Pablo and I just did not feel comfortable eating it. We felt like it probably had been a growing spot for bacteria since it had been in there all night. I didn't find it till the morning and realized that the oven somehow had turned off. We still haven't figured out why that happened. So we literally threw this whole big brisket in the trash, and I cried. I really shouldn't have. I don't know why I took it so hard, but just something about throwing food away just really like gets me. But to me, it is not worth the risk of food poisoning. Now, I probably go a little farther than some people would. I don't follow like the 3-day FDA food guidelines. Usually for me, it's like, okay, if it's been in the fridge for more than a week, then it needs to be tossed. So maybe some of you would say, oh, you're still on the risky side. But I try to be careful, and I try not to take things too far and eat food that is too questionable. Another frugal habit that I do not always do is I do not always buy store brand. In general, I'm a big advocate for buying store brand. You're gonna save yourself a lot of money, and a lot of times you're not gonna really notice the difference at all. But there are some things that I can't bring myself to buy the store brand. That would be like Oreos. The Oreo brand is just so much better than the store brand. It's not like it's something I'm buying all the time, but when we're gonna buy it, we go with the name brand. Same with boxed macaroni and cheese, which yes, I realize is not even like the healthiest thing to buy in the first place, but when I buy it, even though it's like twice as expensive to get the Kraft as opposed to like Aldi, like you can get the Aldi brand for so cheap, the Kraft brand is just so superior in my opinion. And so if I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna get the name brand with that. What about you guys? Is there something that you feel like you have to get in the name brand and you just can't do the store brand? In general, like I said, I'm gonna go for the store brand. It's cheaper, but sometimes, you just gotta spend a little bit more money. Okay, another really frugal habit that we are not really doing right now is putting the AC up in the summer and then keeping your heat down in the winter. This is something I've talked about in frugal tips before. It is a good idea to do, but we're not really doing it right now. Now that probably depends on who you ask, because for some people, us having our house at 74 in the summer might seem actually high. I know there are people who like to keep their house like at 70, even in Texas in the summer, or like 68 during the day, which to me, that would be kind of freezing. But growing up where we always kept the AC up really high, like at least 80, just to save money because we needed to. 74 kind of feels like a luxury and I'm enjoying it. I will throw this onto Pablo a little bit and he won't care that I am. He likes to keep the house cool, and even if I kick it up, a lot of times he will kick it back down in the summer to keep it cool. So I'm going along with that pretty happily. And one more frugal habit that we don't really do right now is washing our own car. Now, I think washing your own car is a great way to save money. Don't get me wrong. But for us right now, Pablo usually has the car at work with him, so it's not something I can do with the kids during the day, like while he's gone. And then on the weekend, a lot of times Pablo just prefers, like if he's gonna wash it, he'd rather just run through a car wash and do it. And honestly, we don't do it very often. So it's not like we're spending money all the time on getting the car washed. But when we do, he just would rather go through instead of taking the time to wash it. And so that's what we're doing right now. When the kids are a little bit older, I think that would be a great weekend chore to just assign to them and have them do it. So we probably will in the future. But right now, we are skipping that frugal habit. Okay, you guys, let me know, what are some frugal habits that maybe you think they're great, maybe you think they're not, but either way, you're not doing them right now. And if there are any of these frugal habits that I'm not doing right now that you really think I should be, let me know in the comments and maybe you can convince me. Okay, you guys, as always, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna stick another video up here in case you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, I think that is it for today. I will see you again soon in my next video. Bye.